Hello students, good morning. Last time I remember I told you I was discussing about production function. Okay, let me just quickly sum up what I told you last time. I told you that production function means a functional relationship that exists between input and output in the process of production is called production function. The functional relationship that exists between input and output, that is, through the process of production, what happens? Inputs are transformed into output. Okay, so this transformation or this physical transformation of input into output is called production function. Now, the production function, as I told you, may be short period production function, may be long period production function. Again, I told you what is short period and what is long period. Short period is a period during which fixed cost cannot change, fixed cost remain constant, only variable cost can change to increase output. In long period, there is no fixed cost, all costs are variable. So, during long period, if you want to increase output, you can increase the total amount of output as you want by increasing both fixed cost and variable cost. But in short period, if you want to increase output, you can only increase output only by increasing the variable cost. So, short period, fixed cost constant, long period, all costs are variable, right? So, in fact, in long period, there is no fixed cost. And remember, the time in which fixed cost cannot change is called short period. And the time during which fixed cost can change is called the long period. I told you, it may be a day, it may be a week, it may be a month, or it may be a year. So now during short period, all costs, all inputs cannot change. During long period, all costs can change. So during the two time periods, we have two different production functions. In short period, when some factors are fixed and some are variable, the production function we call as law of variable proportion. And the long period, when all factors are changeable, all inputs are variable, in that case, we call the production function as laws of returns to scale. So before you go to the long period, let us first discuss the short period production function. As I told you just now, short period is a period during which to increase output, we cannot increase the fixed cost, we cannot change the fixed cost, we can only change the variable cost, and as a result of which you can increase the output to certain extent, not to fullest extent. So during that period, when some are fixed and some are variable, what will be the trend, what will be shape of the output, what will be the trend, the movement of the output? That is the point of discussion. Okay, so that is called the short period production function. Now, according to Marshall, during short period, when some factors are fixed and some factors are variable, if you want to increase output by increasing the variable costs, then what happens? What trend, what movement, what result the output will show? That is the crux of this short period production function. Means, when in production function, when in the production field of production, we keep some factors constant, we keep some factors variable, what will happen? If we go on increasing the variable factors, keeping the fixed cost constant, what will happen? The productivity will initially rise, then it will gradually fall. So Marshall says, as we go on increasing the variable cost year after year, time after time, what happens? The marginal productivity initially increases, reaches the maximum point, then it becomes less and less proportional. That means it initially increases, then decreases, becomes zero, then becomes negative. Okay, so in this production function, in this variable proportion, the name is variable proportion. Why it is called variable proportion? Because in every point of time, in every period of time, we increase the variable cost, we keep the fixed cost constant. So if you go on increasing the variable cost, keeping the fixed cost constant, what will happen? The ratio, the proportion between fixed and variable will change all the year. In the first year, if I give one fixed cost, one variable cost, the ratio is 1:1. The second year, if I keep the fixed cost constant 1 and variable cost 2, then the ratio is 1:2. In the third year, if I employ 3 variable costs, then the ratio is 1:3. So in every year, in every point of time, the variable cost changes. So the ratio between the fixed cost and variable cost changes. Therefore, it is called as law of variable proportion, right? So now, as Marshall said, keeping some factors constant and increasing one factor, if you go on increasing out the variable factors, the output, the production becomes, initially it goes up and then becomes less and less proportionate. So what does he mean by this? Let us discuss it with a table, with a diagram, and we can complete the question. Okay. Now before we go into it, let's take the assumptions. What does Marshall assume? Marshall says, first, the fixed cost to remain constant. In this operation, in this process, the fixed cost cannot change. Second, the variable cost only change, but at a fixed proportion. The variable cost we can change, but we can change the variable cost at a fixed proportion. If we increase 10% of the variable cost every year, we increase in the same order, we increase in the same proportion. So variable cost increases in the same proportion. Third, the technology to remain constant. We cannot assume the technology to change. If we adopt a particular technology, that particular technology stands for all the production process throughout all periods of time. So the technology remain constant, government policy remain constant, climate and all these remain constant, other things remain constant. Therefore, with these assumptions, let's now go to explain the law. Now Marshall explains this law with a very simple example. Marshall says, let's take the example of a farmer who goes to his farm, who produces corn. Now when he goes to produce corn, his fixed cost is, he assumes the fixed cost to his land. Let's assume that his fixed cost is land and the fixed cost amount, quantity is 1 acre of land. So he has 1 acre of land, he has to produce corn in that, and what is his variable cost? Marshall assumes the variable cost to be labor. Let's say labor is the variable cost, land is the fixed cost, and he go on increasing the labor one after the other. What happens to the marginal product and total product and average product? In this process, we come across 3 products: marginal product, total product, and average product. Now when marginal, we go on increasing more and more amount of labor, what happens? The marginal product initially rises, reaches a maximum point, then falls, becomes 0, then becomes negative. So marginal product rises, then falls, then becomes negative. So the rising portion of the marginal cost, we call it as increasing return. The falling portion of the marginal cost, marginal product, we call it as diminishing product. Then we, when the marginal product becomes negative, we call as negative returns. So increasing return, negative return, diminishing return, and negative return. These are the 3 phases of this law. Now when marginal product rises, total product also rises at an increasing rate. When marginal product falls, total product also rises at a diminishing rate. When marginal product becomes negative, total product falls. So we accordingly divide the 3 phases as increasing return, diminishing return, and negative return. Okay, let us take the example that the land is cultivated, the farmer cultivates the land. Let us see what we can explain it with the help of the table. You see, this is a table. I have written here that different columns. First is fixed factor land. This is 1 acre. Throughout these 9 time periods, land has remained constant 1 acre. This is variable factor man or labor. In the first year, he employed 1 man. The second year, he employed 2 persons. Third year, he employed 3 persons, 4 persons, 5 persons. Every year, he go on increasing the variable cost by employing 1 more labor. And this is then come to marginal product. You see, this is to be understood clearly. When he employed 1 labor, the marginal product of labor was 10. Now when he employed 2 persons, the marginal product of labor became 15. Marginal product means product of the last labor. Now you see, when he employs 2 persons, 2 means what? 1 plus 1. The labor who was first employed, he produced 10 quintals of rice. Now when 2 persons are employed, means 1, the previous one, and plus a new one. Now the second person who was employed, his productivity is 15 kg. When he employs 3 persons means 2 previously employed plus 1 new employed. So 2, previous 2, they were producing 10 plus 15, 25. Now the third person alone produces 20 units. So therefore, you see in the first page, the marginal product rises. Then when you go on employing more and more labor, the marginal product go on falling, becomes 0. Then it becomes negative. Okay. Now when marginal product rises, what happens to total product? You see, when marginal product was 10, total was 10. When marginal product is 15, then 10 plus 15, total product is 25. When marginal product is 20, 10, 15, 20, that becomes total product becomes 45. Okay. Then so up to this we can say this is increasing return, because marginal product rises in an increasing rate and total product also rises in an increasing rate. But after this, you see the marginal product has gone more than falling, 15, 12, 6, 4, 2, 0. So when marginal product is falling, total product is also rising. But you can see here very well, it is rising but at a diminishing rate. You see 60. Then this was 45. Then it become 15, 45, 60. 60 plus 12, 72. 72 plus 6, 78, 80. So up to this, marginal product, total product is rising at a diminishing rate. But in the third stage, you see marginal product is negative. So total product has also reduced. And what about the average product? The average product behavior is, in the initial stage, you see average product rises. First it was 10, then 12.5, then 15, then goes on falling. So in the average cost, initially rises, then go on falling. Now in this explanation, the average cost has minimum importance. Remember, we have to know the marginal product and total product, because these two products determine the shape of the production, the shape of the returns, output that we get. Therefore, the marginal product initially rises, then diminishes, then becomes negative. When it rises, total product also rises at an increasing rate. When marginal product falls, total product also rises at an increasing rate. When marginal product becomes negative, total product also reduces, falls. Therefore, these three stages, the first stage we have called it as increasing return, the second stage we have called it as diminishing return, the third stage we have called it as negative return. These three returns come under the law of variable proportions. So this is the table I explained to you today. You please read it in the book to make notes. The next time I shall complete the question with a diagram and explain why it happens so. Why does the marginal product rises? Then why does it fall? Why does it becomes negative? What are the reasons of operation of all these three stages? Increasing return, diminishing return and negative return. That we shall discuss in the next time. Okay. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you very much.